Okay, welcome to Zine Club. Today we have Miss Shatiya M. Syes. Monday, June 1st at 4 p.m. is our guest scene maker. And thank you for being a regular with Zine Club. Also, you are a longstanding visiting Angeleno, available for creative support in a variety of areas. And you're a creative professional since first attending college in Sacramento, California. And you see zines as a creative inspiration at first sight, and you love joining Zine Club, and you love giving presentations. And your topic today is how making zines can support you alongside your main creative occupation. Thank you for being here.
Oh gosh, I don't know where I would be without college. I mean, actually, I don't know. So Sacramento City College was actually did very well for me, but I don't know where I would be without it either. So it's kind of a mystery.
So tell us about zines and your history with zines.
Um, well, going to college was a little bit of a surprise for me. I thought I'd be getting right into working in art in some way. So thought I'd be getting maybe into painting or maybe even performance art. So going to college and studying business was came by surprise for me, but it was the most supported recommendation I got when I was around that age. So I went ahead and accepted that invitation to study business, but I never lost track of my passion for art. So quite naturally, I came across art throughout my college education, and zines were a part of that. So I came across zines in places like libraries, but also places like cafes. Like maybe I'd attend an event, and I'd see some zines laying around, things like that. So I've kind of been familiar with the idea for a long time, but I hadn't really started making zines for myself until I came across the Zine Club with LAPL.
Oh, nice. And tell us about the zines you make for yourself since you joined Zine Club.
You know, when I joined Zine Club, I first of all I knew that I was finally going to get a chance to play around with zines for myself because I think they're so cool. And like I said, I went to business school, so I didn't really consider myself a part of the zine making crowd. But when I came across Zine Club, I knew that this is my opportunity. This is my opportunity to be a zine maker. So so I actually put together a topic, and it's called how zines are like zip codes. And this is why I love zines so much is you have a chance to be super creative, but with minimum resources and in something that just looks so creative in itself. So it's like a little gem of creativity. And so I see them like zip codes. Zip codes are one of my subjects I like to study. Basically, zip codes tell you where you're at, and that's how I see zines. When I pick up the zines right away, I'm like, okay, this is a specific location, and inside of that location, I'm gonna find unique things. I'm going to find things here that I may not find in another zip code. So I just calling this how zines are like zip codes. Let's see. So my topic is really about challenging yourself to share your aspirations and especially aspirations that are important to you. So you may not want to share all the things you're working on, but the things that are really important to you. My challenge is to share, find a way to share what's important to you, and I think zines are the perfect way to share your aspirations. And for me, I kind of see the zine making process in three simple steps. It's all about just setting this time and the space. So definitely you don't want to bring any outside uh, like stress. You don't want to bring any outside stress anything like that to your space when you sit down to make zines. You want to make sure that you're going to have as much time as you need. So if you want to set aside a couple of hours, or you don't want to be in a rush. You really want to have time to lay everything out. So the first thing is just about making the space for yourself, and then the second thing is about selecting your materials. I pretty much right now I'm just using magazines and books and things like that. I know I've seen zines that have uh, like fabric and maybe stickers or glitter or some things like that. Right now, I'm just using magazines and books. But I know that the possibilities are endless when it comes to materials. And then after that, my approach to what I select is really just whatever catches my eye. I mean, it's about the zip code, of course. So just anything that falls within that zip code, I just go ahead and tear out the sheet, and then later just cut everything out and just have everything laid out. And then the last thing is of the arranging of your materials onto your paper. So it's just three. That's how I approach the zine making. It's just those three steps, and I really enjoy each one of those steps. From setting the time to grabbing whatever materials I'm going to be using to cutting everything out, and then just start arranging the final layout for the collaging. So I actually brought just like some examples of the latest paper I used. I actually had a Target run the other day, so I used something like this for my paper. I don't know if I disappeared or not. I can't tell. So I used something like this, and I love this paper, this Target paper. It's thick, and of course it's got that Target design as well. So that just like a fun background. And and then of course I brought a little magazine in case anyone hasn't made a zine yet, and just I thought just having a visual of a magazine just to put those two together. Paper and the magazine is kind of how I got started with making the zines. Um, so what I really wanted to do is to really make it sound like a challenge. Is to because it's not easy always to be able to be creative. Not everybody has access to paint and canvas and paintbrushes and things like that, and that's not including other forms of art that might be need even require even more skill or more resources. So I really love that. It's just these two things: magazine and a piece of paper. Of course, you have to get some scissors and glue, or tape even. So I just, zine making is a way, it's a challenge. I want to just make sure it's a challenge for me because I haven't always had the opportunity to sit down and in a nice environment and to spend some quality time being creative. So it's a challenge to do that. And from a perspective of zines supporting maybe other areas that you're working on, like maybe I meet all kinds of creatives in LA. So I meet writers, I meet fine artists, so as far as zine supporting other types of creativity, what I like about them is that, say like you have a show coming up, or say you have a book coming out, and you just want a fun, quick, easy way to let others know you're doing that. You can make a zine and pass out your zine really easily. So it's just something that's easy to carry and distribute. Um, I love that, again, that it's a way. It's not extra work. Like if you want to hire someone to help you market your creativity, that's a lot of extra work. Zine is something that you could just really sit down and do yourself and be proud of. And then it's full of meaning and importance. So you don't want to. you don't want to just put anything together. You really want to take your time. Like maybe you can't put one together in an hour or two. Maybe it'll take you 2 weeks to make sure that you're putting the messages you want to put in your zine. Or maybe you might even spend a month. I mean, of course, when it comes to time, it's all up to what is best for you. And then lastly, again, they're so easy to give away. You don't have to, like, you can't give away a masterpiece on canvas or something, right? Or something like that. But you surely can, like, let me show you what I did recently. This is what I did in terms of what I'm talking about, just how easy they are to give away. Like, you could spend hours making one zine and then you can give hundreds away so easily. So this is the latest one I made. It's for a project that I'm working on. And this is the original piece here. So this is the Target paper I was mentioning, and it's the original piece. And so it's really thick, and it's got all the original materials on it from the magazine. And then what I did is, so that they're so easy to distribute, I went ahead and photocopied it. So now I have it on uh, just a regular 8.5 by 11 um, sheet of paper. And of course, I mean, color copies, I think, are like 50 cents on average. So it's not too expensive. You can, let's say 50 cents times 10, is that like $5? So, it's not too expensive to pass them out.
And it's free
And
at the library. You get 12 pages of color printing per person per day
oh, you
free.
know what? That is so right, Ziva. That is so right. You could literally go to the library every day and print out 12 and have pass 12 out every day if you want it. Like, that's so amazing to me. I think that's incredible that there's that kind of opportunity with zine making, and how LAPL is making it a little bit easier to be creative.
I love that zine that you shared that you made copies of. Where do you distribute them besides friends? Where's a good spot to leave your zine?
Well, see, I my whole focus is really staying grounded in art appreciation. So I feel like zine is a great art appreciation project. And so I really like to just enjoy the original, and just how that final original comes out. And then from there, I just like to have them on me. So in case I meet someone and we're talking about what we do, that I have something that I could just give right then and there. So that's how I use I mean, that's my use for zines, is something like that.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, when they're the small size, it's easy to carry a bunch with you to give to people. Well, we would love to have one of your zines at the library too, if you ever want to give one, and you can be in the catalog and we can have you donated to lapl.org/zines. Oh yeah, Renee said it's like an art calling card.
I think that even if art is if my whole thing is that art's not always it's not art appreciation is not always a given. So giving yourself some time to just enjoy that, and then also knowing you could share it, I think makes a big difference. It's a big impact.
And you said you take magazines, paper. Where do you find your magazines? If people don't have subscriptions to magazines anymore, where do you find them?
Well, if for LAPL, card holders, usually each branch has some kind of bin or a table or something like that that has discarded magazines and book materials. Other than that, it's hard to kind of um, to really have a go-to place because I sometimes like free materials just show up, you like show up maybe just like en route to other places, but I find that most of the branches have some kind of giveaway bin.
And do you table your zines? Do you go to Zine Fest and to trade and table?
I see. I never really saw. I never really been in the whole zine crowd. Just because again, I went in a different direction. But I've been hearing about the fest, and I've been just kind of imagining what they must be like. So I could see myself attending a zine fest. Um, as soon as I get an invitation or something like that. I mean, I do, think about it. It's just, I'm not really necessarily a part of the zine crowd. I mean, I do come to zine club, but again, for me, it's more like challenging myself to give myself the time to just be creative for the sake of being creative without really having any pressure or any specific motivations. Just to enjoy creating art, being and crafting. So they're political or even have don't they don't usually necessarily have any uh, social um, commentary. They're usually themes that are based around other projects I'm working on. So I usually see them as an extension of something else I'm working on.
Oh, thanks for sharing. Hopefully we see you at a Zine Fest soon. And John asks, when you are
Well,
making,
I feel like I see the thing about it is I'm so used to jumping into situations, and even if I don't have experience. So I really love coming to Zine Club, because I don't feel like I'm jumping into something. I just feel like I'm being creative and just being a part of the club. But if something is happening, if there's like a Zine Fest coming up, and if I feel like I don't know, like if I feel like maybe everyone's going or something like that, I definitely would be looking forward to that.
oh, good. And John has a question in the chat. John asks, when you're, when you make your space, when you're doing your zines and you're making your space, step one, do you play music? Do you drink tea or coffee? Do you eat snacks?
Oh, oh gosh. That's a really specific question. And so I wish I had time to make it an interesting answer. Well, I think being here in LA, it's 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 uh it's 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 not unusual, to see someone sitting somewhere and with like art materials, or just kind of in their own space. I don't think that's particularly unusual. Mostly what I look for is that, first of all, yeah, mostly what I look for is that I don't have any extended outside situations going on, that I don't have to be anywhere anytime soon. I make sure that I have everything I need, because it's not fun to have to suddenly get up and get something that you need. So usually double check to make sure I have everything I need. So I kind of go out with the intention of setting that space.
Oh, thank you. And we
Yeah.
see there's an upcoming Spring Arts Tower takeover at the Lax Bookstore in downtown LA, June 13th. So that's somewhere people are maybe trading zines or showcasing zines. And the applications are still open until June 11th. If anyone here wants to happen, John keeps a list. So I put the list in the chat. In June, there's also the Southgate Zine Fiesta at the Southgate Museum. People are tabling. The app's closed for that already. And then there's one in Echo Park in June 27th. The app's closed today. And then if anyone wants to make a cat zine, they have the Cat Zine Fest in Long Beach. Then the app's closed today. I might try to. Oh, I'm out of town. Oh, it's up till July 3rd, so maybe they're showcasing them. And so your zines are about art and um is it related to business at all, like what you studied in school? Your zines, do they ever have a
Um,
business aspect?
well, I see zines as like an extension of of like if I'm working on say like if I am working on a new program that has to do with business, then yes, I may say, okay, well, a great way to talk about that program is to make a zine. Um, I don't worry about anything though, as far as what does business have to say about this? It's more about sitting down and grabbing materials that I enjoy looking through and making sure I have scissors and glue and making sure I have the time and just dedicating a couple of hours to cutting paper and folding paper and rearranging the pages and um, basically finishing with something that is just visually enjoyable. And of course, whatever text is there as well should be enjoyable, just reading the text, you know. So I don't say, okay, uh, what how would business approach this? Yeah, it's not about approaching it from a business perspective. It's more about letting it be its own thing.
Oh, nice. Do you have a little collection of zines now? Do you have like how many have you made or and do you
Well, they take hours, you know. So, what I do is I kind of like say some similar to an outline. I'll make an outline of different zines I'd like to make, but as far as sitting down to make them, they take hours to do. So, so I make sure that I'm gonna enjoy the every minute of it because that's the whole idea is it's something in of its own self. It's not meant to be uh, grouped in with business. It's meant to be its own separate thing. So I don't say, oh, I got to make two zines this month or something. That's not what I would do.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I think the challenge is to share your aspirations and what's important to you, but not feel pressure to be productive. You know, I wouldn't want to feel pressure to produce things. You know, I'd want to challenge myself to share what I believe in, what's important to me. So I challenge other zine makers to do the same, to just focus on sharing what's important to you so that way if someone reads your zine and they like your zine they could feel comfortable talking to you about it.
Yeah, I love how zines are so personal and that everyone that makes zines, it's a little bit of themselves so they can share with a piece of paper with a zine instead of saying all about themselves. They could say, "Oh, here, read my zine."
I think I sometimes being in a big city like LA, big diverse urban city like Los Angeles, um, that means that there's a lot of opportunities out there, but it also means that there's a lot of personal perspective out there, and you never know where you overlap with someone. So sometimes it could be quite challenging to just introduce yourself or to ask for more time with someone. So I wouldn't underestimate the confidence that a person may have when they have something like a zine that they could say, hey, whether you follow up with me or not, I'm still going to share what I would want to share with you. You can't always control what you get back, but of course you can have initiative and just kind of make yourself available.
Thank you. That's true. I like that with the zines and just taking the initiative to make the zine and share the zine. That's why I hope Zine Club motivates and
Oh,
inspires.
I wanted to ask. I have a question, and it's just like a follow up question. And I was wondering, is anyone in Zine Club that's joining for this topic today? I'm wondering, is anyone thinking about incorporating zines into an existing project? So, in other words, like I know a lot of zines are standalone projects. They're just, like the zip code idea, just kind of like a standalone project. So I'm wondering if anyone is incorporating zines into something that's otherwise another project, like a separate project. Oh, Ziba, I don't know if I can't hear. I think I cannot hear anyone right now.
Well, Renee was mentioning something. If you want to,
I feel like I I feel like I remember someone mentioning that they were doing a zine as part of their thesis. Do you remember who spoke with us maybe 3 months ago, 4 months ago?
yeah,
But I think that would be really cool.
yeah, I forget who specifically, but yeah, I think you can, depending on what's the subject of your degree, a zine would work well to distribute the information. But I do know they haven't been to Zine Club, but I know of someone that has a PhD in zines. But they're like in Hong Kong and did graduate study on zines and research on zines, and they made a zine as part of it. So I'd love to have them come tell us about that too. Or was that Aaron Ashley? Never mind. I remember who it is. Aaron Ashley is doing a PhD in religious studies and was asking the group about how to make their thesis zine, since they've made zines in high school, but more about ska and music. And they wanted suggestions from the group about how to make their religious studies zine for their PhD. Like the professor was saying, you could do an essay or you could do a zine. So they're going to do a zine with the research and photos and make it like professional. So now I remember. Thank you. I still have to upload the recordings to YouTube. So that's a good way for your answer. And anyone else have projects that they can use zines? Like I always have ideas, but I just never do them. So I was thinking like I like making films or short films when I was in film school, not so much now, but I want to do it again. So I'm thinking if I were to do a short film, I could make a zine about it. So the project would be the short film and the zine could be kind of maybe like storyboarding the short film or introducing the film and why you should watch it. So I think filmmakers or student films could go well with a like a mini zine. I think they could go hand in hand.
Yeah, though I see. I think certain pairings just sound very, I guess I'm thinking something like collectible. You know, certain pairings just are nice things to have.
Did you have an answer, John?
Yeah, I have a couple of zines that kind of do this straddle thing where it's two different art forms that merge into a zine. Like sometimes there'll be a scene in a movie that I like a lot, and I'll do screenshots of the movie, and then I transcribe the dialogue and make a zine that's like basically from a movie. I did that a couple of times, and another one was that old silent film called Metropolis from like the 20s or something. There's a scene in there where all the workers revolt, and then I read the book, and I actually took the text out of the book where the workers revolt and merged it with screenshots of the workers revolting in the movie. So that was blending, fiction and film into the third art form, zine. It's fun to do that. You can do anything with zines. So
Yeah, I've been enjoying just the crafting part of it, and I know that it's in, zines are just suit themselves for endless subjects. I can only imagine when you're a prolific zine maker what that must be like. It's interesting to think about that possibility, of making more zines more often. But I love the idea that I can make copies, and one zine can live for a long time.
And Renee put in the chat that we have a zine that we cataloged in our library that is a playlist and links to Spotify and has images that correspond. So that's how zines could be about music and go to the digital online aspect, maybe with the QR code or a link.
Yeah,
But
that to me that's I mean I'm pretty much trying not to um to make it sound too exciting, because ironically crafting is not exactly an exciting activity. It's actually quite relaxing, and reflective even.
yeah, it does take a while. It takes me months to make zines, and it takes a long time for me to have a reason to make a zine. But I see John wrote in the chat, John still gives away zines that were made in 2017, so almost 10 years ago. So you must, yeah, make a lot of copies of those giveaway zines. That's nice to have something to give someone. And that probably has like maybe your contact info. So in a way, it's like a contact card or business card. Or,
Well, I don't know um how I came up with this idea, but I thought I would ask if anyone wants to, or especially if you haven't already thought of zines as literally zip codes, like um I have my background that informs a lot of my ideas, but I just really think it's my favorite way of talking about what a zine is, like a zip code. I see it quite literally. And I was wondering if anyone wants to, approach making a zine, um, being inspired by like your own made up zip code. Like, I just love that idea of like, making up my own zip code, like my own 5-digit number, and just sort of just like making up an imaginary neighborhood or something like that. And but not but I'm thinking of it quite literally, but of course, what would go into a neighborhood? I mean, that's kind of also open to the imagination.
Oh yeah, that's good that you pointed out to make it up because I was thinking literally. So I was thinking of 90815, which is the zip code I grew up in, Long Beach, California.
Yeah, well, it's a little okay. So I guess maybe I'm coming up with this because I'm kind of working on a project that involves numbers, and I think it's just kind of I'm somehow I'm these themes are coming together, the themes of numbers and zip codes and zines. And so I'm thinking pretty soon I'm going to somehow start playing around with a zine that's inspired by numbers.
I have this zine that I got from a guy in Maryland. I ordered this from him. It's called Raven's Way Review. This might interest you because he's kind of doing a little bit like what you're talking about. Raven's Way refers to a place, but it's a totally invented place. He just made it up. And then all of the different things that happen in his life in different places around Maryland where he lives, he writes it down as if it happened in this one little town. So that I thought that what you were talking about, making up your own zip code, reminded me of this zine.
Well, for me, I mean, okay, my background is so influential in my life. So, when I say my background, I just mean that I've had a very responsive life, like a very, a situation happens, I respond, another situation, I respond. So I feel like I've learned to be more in tune with my background as opposed to separate from it. So something that works for me is having icebreakers. Having icebreakers is really important for me because I'm not always aware of what's going on when I'm new somewhere. I may not always be aware of just what's popular this year, or what topics is everyone talking about. So for me, having icebreakers it has become a part of my um, learning how, like, sort of readjusting to what my background is. So I find that zines are a fun way of just saying to myself, maybe not everyone is walking around with zines, to exchange, but it's still a really cool idea. And even asking someone, do you have an icebreaker? Like, what's your icebreaker? I have a zine. What's yours? So that's how I'm kind of connecting zip codes and zines. It's sort of like an icebreaker. I see it as something um, that's easy to exchange and easy to just say, oh, okay, that's what's going on in your world. Sure, let's talk about that.
We had a meeting a week or two ago, and the icebreaker was if you were a type of potato, what potato would you be?
So when I think of potatoes, that's just so funny because the joke is, of course, you have to add things to your potatoes. You can, I mean, I don't know how many, I don't know, like who eats potatoes, only the potato. I mean, I think usually you have to put some kind of like, you have to put at least some maybe, mm, I don't know. I mean, I'm a spice fan, so I've got lots of spices I could throw out. big on spices, so I play around with spices every time I have a potato.
Cheese and sour cream. That sounds good on a baked potato. And then spices on your potato. I like purple sweet potatoes, so I can eat those plain because they're already sweet.
Purple sweet potatoes. Are those are very popular this last year, I think. I've seen those quite a bit.
Yeah, I see, I get those. I like that it's a different color than the normal potato we see. So there could be a potato zine. I think I have seen a potato zine before about all the different ways you can make a potato.
Is that, is you there could be potato towns too. I like in Sacramento there used to be um a potato cafe, I guess, and they had like 30 different kinds of ways they made their potatoes, like 30 kinds. So I mean there were potatoes with all kinds of variations. I mean it's like something for everyone.
Karina and Rosanna, feel free to chime in if you have any zine questions or want to share what zines you're working on or any zine events you've been to or thanks for coming to Zine Club. Let us know if you have any comments or questions. Well, hearing your presentation, I just feel so inspired and motivated to make a zine and to just do your steps, which I wrote down. You said you had 3 steps to make space, select materials, and arrange the materials, which is I guess I usually skip the first step. I usually go straight to selecting the materials and then arranging the materials wherever I am, but you do have to make a space to make sure all your stuff is ready. Like you said, you get
Well,
your
and I see I'm not from Los Angeles, so from an outside perspective, um I expect Los Angeles to be a place where being creative is not unusual. Like if you if whether you just are being creative for your own peace of mind, or whether you're being creative because you're trying to make a living. I just feel like Los Angeles is supposed to be supportive of that. So, it could be as special as you want it to be. As it could be something where you literally tell your friends, "Hey, don't at this time I'm gonna be unavailable, guys, because I'm gonna be making a zine today, or next week, or next month, whenever it is." It could be as special as you want it to be, and that's kind of like that's where I hope to take it. Right now I don't necessarily schedule it in advance, but it could be that way. The same way that a person might schedule a retreat. A person can also set aside maybe a whole weekend, to make a zine.
I do that when I have deadlines coming up, like a zine fest where I need to make the zine for the zine fest. Then I'll stay up like the day before or the night before because I want to have it ready for that zine fest, which I don't do
So
often.
so that like that makes me just feel so um like just know that there's so much out there. I know that there's just so much out there, but again, I don't want to over stress about the process, because I want to start from a very grounded place before I get any wild ideas. Before I try to take on any special materials or anything like that. So I'm trying to kind of just take things gradually.
Yeah, I like your way of yeah, meditative zine making or gradually, and Renee said as self-care. That's true. It is. I should make more time to do zines because it's like we talk about it as Zine Club, but then to make it is the next step. So I want to make zines that, yeah, even if I don't finish them and I don't distribute them or make copies, like just to have them, the original. It's like making art.
It's really nice to hear that, like, well, the focus is on this particular craft, and I love that focus because it's a craft, again, that's so accessible. It's just incredibly accessible, and its imagery and its text, and those are powerful mediums, imagery and text. And it's such a small, and right now I'm still playing around with the the infamous, folded, uh one single page folded version. And so in that small space, the amount of visuals and text that can go in that small space, and then there's still the arranging of it. I feel like, um it's just, I just, again, I just say it's a great medium for challenging yourself. You're challenging yourself to set the time for yourself, to be creative, and to share. Have an easy way to share, uh, whatever you want to share. Whether it's a perspective, your feelings, um, or even idea that you want to pursue. And I mean, I think I'm painting a good picture that, it's something you could feel proud about.
It's very, very inspiring. And our last 5 minutes, I want to thank you for giving us this presentation, which to remind us about the art of zine making and how you approach it. And it's
Do
great
you,
to learn
is
more
that
about you.
is that is that good? Is that really good? Because I know that's part of, when you're new to a community, or to a school or something like that, you get like a short window to bring your own outside perspective.
Oh no, it was good. I thank you for sharing your perspective and for sharing. It was a great talk, and we appreciate you always joining Zine Club for years and now sharing about your zine making. And we hope that anyone else that wants to present, let us know. Karina, Rosanna. We had John present a year or two ago, but it never hurts to oh, Rosanna came for inspiration and got it. Thank you. Oh, good. I'm glad you're inspired to make scenes. I'm
Well,
inspired.
I had it. I guess I was kind of wondering, what do you recommend, Ziba, as far as just continuing, developing as a zine maker?
I think it's great to, yeah, make them. And then when you feel like it's ready to distribute, to make copies and then to get them out there into the world because you never know who's gonna see it. And then maybe they'll contact you if you leave your social media handle or some way that is safe for them to contact you. And then you can just see how far your message, your art gets. And maybe they want to say like, oh, I really like this drawing or this poem. And I think it's nice to hear from people that
Yeah, Ziba, thank you for that. It's because, yeah, that's, sharing isn't just about, it's not just a personal reward. It also, you never know what good your sharing may do.
yeah, that's what I like seeing it at like coffee shops or at independent bookshops or record stores or music venues. Sometimes they'll have a corner for postcards and business cards, and people can leave zines there. I don't usually see
That's so
zines.
awesome, Diva. I love that. I love that because right now, like I was sharing during my presentation, that mostly the zines that I'm making right now are part of other projects. But I did mention I was going to start probably working on a number inspired zine. So something like that could be nice for, just to be a part of another exhibition.
Well, I can't wait to see it, and I hope um, everyone was able to be inspired, like Rosanna and I are inspired from your presentation, and it's great learning from each other. And the zine community is really helpful. Thank you for helping us make zines.
Well,
And
then I guess that's our time today.
yeah, it's 5 till 5, so or now 4 till 5, so I'll let everyone ask any last minute questions, and thank you for presenting. And also next month will be Monday, July 6th at 4 p.m. If anyone wants to present or even suggest people that they want to hear from, I don't mind reaching out to people and asking them to present. And that way we get inspired by people that present about their zine making. And in the meantime, if anyone wants to attend all the different events coming up all over with zines, then we can report back and see how they went. Because there's the Spring Arts Tower Takeover, the Southgate Zine Fiesta, the Dum Dum Fest, and the Cat Zine Fest.
That sounds really fun. Like, is it a dress up fest? The cat zine fest?
It could be,
That's
at least with the ears or drawing little whiskers. I don't know. And that one, people can still submit a zine for that up and through today. So maybe before midnight, we'll all submit our cat zines. We'll make a cat zine. So thank you for your presentation, and everyone, thank you for joining us. And until next time, have a good zine making time.
okay. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.